ensnared in these allegations as well. And it's, to me, like I said before, it seems to be just an attack now on powerful men in America. Whatever you've done in the past is going to come to the light now, and you're seeing people are starting to pay the price for that. I think it's interesting now that a lot of Democrats have been getting caught up in these allegations. Al Franken, who's a sitting senator, and now Detroit's very own John Conyers, the legend, the icon, has been ensnared into some allegations that just aren't good for politics in general. The allegations are that essentially that John Conyers, who's almost 90 years old now, was accused of harassing women in his office, in his workplace, and one woman actually they settled out at that interview right there. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have Nancy Pelosi talk about how and it was interesting to hear her defend John Conyers, but at the same time, these were the same people 2 weeks ago that were saying, nope, Roy Moore shouldn't run, he should drop out. And these were all allegations, and strangely enough, no one has come forward since that time with allegations with any proof. You had Gloria Allred coming down to Alabama, who had claimed to had a yearbook that Roy Moore, and she even said, I never verified if that was the correct information. So now you have Democrats defending each other on what I would call, and it's being hypocritical at the very least. It's hypocritical. Like I said, before Roy Moore was being told to drop out the race, he was not fit to sit in office. And then you find out Al Franken has a history of harassing women, filling on women's breasts while they're asleep, forcibly kissing them, doing things that, and again, people tried to make the excuse, this guy's a comedian. So that's okay. But he's a sitting U.S. senator. And I didn't hear any Democrats calling for him to step down, resign. But interestingly enough, you are hearing some Democrats saying that John Conyers should step down and resign. Now, just to be clear, he settled with this woman. It was a severance package, $27,000 a year of taxpayer money that went to pay this lawsuit. And apparently, there are multiple lawsuits. Our elected officials have, and the funny thing is, John Conyers was about to do the Nino Brown. He was about to say it's bigger than John Conyers. You think I'm the only one doing this? You're wrong. You're crazy, right? And so, it's unfortunate because I thought it was very strange that a lot of these folks were calling for Roy Moore to not get involved in that race, to step down, and meanwhile you have all these Democrats. And like I said, it's just been an attack on powerful men in general over the last couple of weeks. You've seen celebrities, whether it was Sly Stallone, being accused of things. And again, this is what I want to point out to people. Accused, allegations. People are throwing things out there, and there's been no proof to back up any of these claims. But, it's not a big deal to smudge up someone's name, to take someone who's hasn't been convicted of anything. Same thing that happened to Ezekiel Elliott in football, which we'll talk about some more too. A guy that now at this point is serving a 6-game suspension for allegations. So what you're seeing nowadays is that people are making allegations, and you're going to have to pay a penalty even if you haven't done anything. And I think that's where, as a man, I'm a little bit concerned there. And as Americans, we should be concerned that someone can just put something on your name and not have any proof, and therefore your whole reputation is besmirched. Now, in John Conyers' case, he settled out, and he paid this woman. Now, what he did, was it illegal? No. Poor taste, poor judgment? Absolutely. But for the most part, I don't think that he's going to suffer the repercussions that a lot of other people have. And I think it's also interesting the fact that I'm going to play this Nancy Pelosi interview so you can hear how even Nancy Pelosi dances around it and didn't even offer John Conyers her full support. Let's go ahead and listen to this, a small clip from this interview.
Zero tolerance.
Yes.
John Conyers, what does that mean for him right now?
Let's say
in or out?
We are strengthened by due process. Just because someone is accused, and was it one accusation? Is it two? I think there has to be. John Conyers is an icon in our country. He has done a great deal to protect women, Violence Against Women Act, which the right wing is now quoting me as praising him for his work on that, and he did great work on that. But the fact is, as John reviews his case, which he knows, which I don't, I believe he will do.
Don't you?
I believe that he will.
How is it that
excuse
you
me,
don't?
may I finish my sentence?
Sure.
That he will do the right thing.
And is the right thing what? Resign?
He will do the right thing in terms of what he knows about his situation, that he's entitled to due process, but women are entitled to due process as well.
But he got it. He took advantage of a situation where he had the rules of Congress, and I know you guys want to change these rules, but he got to hide his settlement. He got to, his accusers had to go through all sorts of craziness. So why is he entitled to new due process in this case?
No, we are talking about what we have heard. I've asked the Ethics Committee to review that. Yeah. He has said he'd be open. It will cooperate.
Do you believe
with
the
any
accusers?
Review. Excuse me?
Do you believe John Conyers' accusers?
I don't know who they are. Do you? They have not really come forward. And that gets
so
to
you don't know if you believe the accusations?
That's for the Ethics Committee to review. But I believe he understands what is at stake here, and he will do the right thing.
And so there you go. It sounds like Nancy Pelosi was dancing a little bit there. She didn't know exactly how to now this is the funny thing. I want you to hear what she said. She said one allegation. That was all they needed for Roy Moore. One allegation. And they pounced on him and tried to get him to drop out the race. And I guess the thing is, Roy Moore is a fighter. He's been sticking up for Christian values, conservative values for so long that he's used to getting attacked like this. But I don't think he was used to it from a national standpoint where you had national media jumping in, coming after his family, digging up people from 30, 40 years ago, people that, and there was never any proof. And I told people last week, I said, Alabamans don't care what the rest of America thinks about them, and they're going to vote on their own. And I predict that Roy Moore is probably going to still end up winning this election down in Alabama. And it's because, again, Nancy Pelosi said it herself. Are we going to let allegations ruin someone? Is that the route we want to go here? I'm going to also go play ahead this Franken, Senator Al Franken, who, again, he's a sitting senator right now. And let's hear out what he had to say about these allegations. Scrutiny.
I have a long way back to win back the trust of the people of Minnesota.
Senator Al Franken finally speaks out.
I've especially let down the people who have seen me as a champion for women.
Franken has been accused by 4 women of unwanted advances. Today, he spoke only to Minnesota local reporters from TV, print, and radio.
This has been a shock to me.
Al Franken from Minnesota.
Franken's star wattage as a national figure in the Democratic Party has dimmed.
So now you're seeing how the shoe is on the other foot, and now his star is dimming. He was a champion for women. The same guy that's groping women, same guy that actually took a picture with a woman's sleep, grabbing her breast, is a champion for women. This is the hypocrisy I have with liberals in general, is that they get away with this stuff because they somehow make people feel like they care about them more. They're the champion for women. Democrats are the champions for minorities. And all along, they hurt the same people that they're supposedly trying to help so much. And I can't think of a better example of that as watching this hypocrisy of watching them say they champion women's rights, they champion this. Well, where is these women's rights when you're, being accused of all the sexual harassment? And congressional leaders have with this essentially a slush fund to keep quiet, and it's never been made public. There's been rumors that Joe Biden was part of that in that slush fund, that he had also paid off some other folks. So we're gonna are we gonna finish the rest of that? All right, let's go ahead and finish the rest of this interview.
I've crossed a line.
Before politics, he had a long career in comedy. Franken addressed his behavior in this 2006 photo with accuser Leanne Tweeden, who says he forcibly kissed her.
I am ashamed of that photo.
But Franken claims no memory of touching a woman's backside while taking a photo in 2010.
I would never intentionally do that.
Franken says he will not resign.
I'm going back to work tomorrow.
But another lawmaker with 52 years on Capitol Hill is under pressure.
John Conyers is an icon in our country.
Leader Nancy Pelosi sent a signal.
He will do the right thing in terms of what he knows about his situation.
88-year-old Michigan Democrat John Conyers is giving up his powerful Judiciary Committee post, while an ethics review looks at a sexual harassment allegation that led to a settlement. But Conyers denies any wrongdoing. Across politics, a kettle is whistling. With 2 weeks before Alabama's Senate race, Roy Moore is accused by several women, some of them teenagers at the time, of improper sexual advances. Republicans are divided.
It is pretty clear to me that the best thing that Roy Moore could do for the country is to move on.
Democratic candidate Doug Jones campaigned while President Trump pushed for Roy Moore's victory without ever naming Moore. Can't let Schumer Pelosi win this race. Liberal Jones would be bad. Some Republicans have urged President Trump to persuade Roy Moore to leave the race, but he's ignored that pressure. He cites Roy Moore's denial of any wrongdoing. And so the net effect is that...
And so there we go. This is where we're at in D.C. nowadays. You've got... and that's why I tell people the Republicans are not openly defending Roy Moore. And in fact, a lot of Republicans, including, as you heard, Tim Scott, have asked them to step down and resign. And I think that, the whole thing about that is that it's interesting because Republicans are split on the issue, but a lot of the senators, they don't, it's hypocritical for them to criticize Al Franken and then turn around and say it's okay for Roy Moore. So you do have some Republicans that are very much split on it. Donald Trump, he's been two-stepping with it. He's not using his name, not mentioning him, but basically saying that we can't allow the Democrats to win in Alabama. And I don't know if that's going to be strong enough, but it might very well be. And I think that, again, it's one thing for accusations. It's another thing that we've had these folks that actually paid out. And now you've got guys like Al Franken apologizing because they were wrong. And what I don't understand, folks, and you can give me a call on this, how is it that Democrats still walk around projecting that they are somehow the party for women when obviously they have an issue with sexual harassment, they have an issue with disrespecting women in the workplace? How is there for equal pay? Oh, no, let's not forget that another one of our, the two congressmen from Michigan that are Democrats, both were ensnared in these sexual harassment allegations. Brenda Lawrence's chief of staff had to resign for sexual harassment, and this was multiple reports. And then I saw yesterday Rashida Tlaib actually posted something about this gentleman that was in a picture with Brenda Lawrence. Again, this culture of protecting folks just because they have a D next to their name and letting it somehow turning a blind eye to it, but at the same time, swarming in on any Republican they can find to try to distract people from the issues. And so we're gonna watch this. It's gonna be a very, very interesting. It's like at this point, I wake up and say, all right, well, who's gonna be the next guy that's in trouble today? At this point, and I think that. I don't know if it does anything to hurt people's being believed when you just got accusation after accusation after accusation that comes out against different folks. I think that when you've had multiple allegations against Al Franken and then you got John Conyers and you have all these people, it takes away the sting of what Roy Moore is being accused of. The only major difference in what Roy Moore is being accused of is it involved minors. And like I said before, that's where a lot of people, and I figure that's where a lot of Republicans are just drawing the line. They're saying like, hey, if you really want something good for America, step back, let someone else run. But it was too late. And that's why I said before that the Roy Moore allegations just had some very fishy timing, because these kind of salacious allegations, it just seems like that they would have made it to the news, made it to the media a lot quicker than 2 weeks before the final election. So give us a call, 313-209-9000. Do you believe the allegations against Roy Moore? Do you believe what's been said against John Conyers? I mean, John Conyers settled out. He paid someone, at least to our knowledge, at least one person, to settle out. And it wasn't a big settlement. It wasn't like millions of dollars. It was a severance package, but it was for the salary of someone for, I guess a year or whatever it was. But my thing is, you don't settle out with someone when you haven't done anything. If it's your reputation at stake, and it was seen to me is that John Conyers should have known better. He should have known that at some point some of this stuff would get out. But, apparently it's been going on for quite a while, and they've got a slush fund in D.C. to handle these kind of things. And as a taxpayer, that should piss everyone off. That, these guys pretty much have a hush-hush way of operating in these kind of situations, because me or you, at your job, you couldn't have a sexual harassment lawsuit and settle out and keep going about it and no one knows and it's just all good. And we're talking with public dollars, folks. I want you to understand that that's what we're really talking about here, is that public dollars are being used to essentially cover up and wipe away the sins and the allegations and the misbehavior. I mean, let's just be clear, the bad behavior of our elected officials in D.C. And again, John Conyers sounds like a guy that's ready to take down everyone if he goes down, because he knows where the bodies are hidden. He's been in Congress as long as the buildings have been there. He's been there for quite a while. So, he's got. I wonder if he'll go out and be that. Will he be that belligerent, and will he be willing to take out other people? What's up, Mike Macon, my brother? Good to see you this morning. I'm looking on the Facebook Live, sharing that with folks. If you want to listen in, we're streaming. Do you believe that John Conyers should step down? He stepped out of his judicial committee, which, that was the big news of yesterday on a Sunday morning. He wisely did that on a Sunday morning as opposed to starting off the week like this, but we're not going to let it slide and not talk about it. But he removed himself from the judicial committee. That tells me right there that he knows everything's not all good. He knows it's not all good, folks. If he's willing to remove himself from that committee, if he's willing to, pretty much put himself in the hands of other people. And this is the thing. I don't know how much trouble he's going to get into. This was sealed. This was years ago at this point. So how much trouble can he get in? I don't know. Will he just resign in shame? I don't think he will. This is John Conyers, folks. And in Detroit, people don't really, they're not going to take that out on John. John Conyers is a legend, an icon to a lot of different folks, and he will be defended to the end. In particular, I would say here in the Detroit area, and he's a civil rights leader and all these different things, and I agree. He's got that pedigree, but that does not absolve you from the fact that if you're using taxpayer money to settle these kind of lawsuits, that maybe you should step down, let someone else younger carry the mantle. I'm sure his nephew wouldn't mind going for that run as he's gearing up for his next Senate run. But I think that these are the kind of things that we need to think of. And this is what I'll continue to say as a Republican in the Detroit area, is that shouldn't we just demand better of our elected officials? Why are they allowed to come in and preach like they're doing this and doing that for our community? But they're not. They don't care. They're doing what they want to do. And to me, that's the biggest problem, is that the culture in D.C., the culture of politicians, and this can be extended to both sides. They've had zero accountability, and it sounds like on this issue in particular, they've had zero accountability. They've been allowed to run a free reign in D.C., and a lot of these men are married and things like that. So that would tell you why they would, want all this stuff to remain confidential, quiet, and so we're going to, it's just, to me, it's an amazing amount of hypocrisy. Give us a call, 313-209-9000. We can talk about it. I'd love to hear what Detroiters had to say about this, considering that John Conyers is everyone's favorite congressman here in the Detroit area. Like I said, he's been in office since Congress was invented, essentially. My mom, who's a grandmother now with 4 grandkids, was a freshman in college when John Conyers started in office. And this is, again, I want you to understand that. Since, the 60s, he's been running in Congress. Is it time for a new voice? Let's go to the callers here. We got Marcia up early this morning with me. Marcia, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, young man. Thank you so much for taking my... yes, it's time for John Conyers to go.
It's time for him to go. Do you believe that there are more allegations that are out there? And this is why my consistency. So you think John Conyers should step down? What about Al Franken?
Yes. Al Franken, no, because he's a comedian. I really look on him.
He was a comedian. He is a U.S. senator, though. I mean, that to me, that's
he's a big time jokester. But John Conyers needs to go. He hasn't got a reparation for us, and he's never going to get it. And we need some new, energetic blood up there in Congress. The likes of Bullock, or David Alexander Bullock.
Bullock? Did you just say David Alexander Bullock?
We need the young, energetic, the brightest and best that get involved in politics to really change the world, change America for the best. So we need energetic, young black males representing us. John Conyers it's over.
Interesting. All right. Well, Marcia, I don't think he's going to resign. To be quite honest with you, I think that his ego and the fact that you'll have all these civil rights groups, like you'll have Jesse Jackson probably sticking up for him. He'll be the first person in line.
No.
Al Sharpton. All these guys are going to jump in there because first there'll be some news cameras. So as long as you got some news cameras and some lights, cameras, and some action, you're going to have Jesse Jackson popping up. You're going to have Al Sharpton popping up because they can't stay away from the cameras.
Wait a minute. We're going to have Bernie Sanders for 2018 and 2020. So, the Democrats are in trouble anyway.
Well, at least Bernie Sanders, he's staying out of all the sexual harassment.
They just over. There's no difference in a Democrat and a Republican. They're the same head of the people in the state. They taking America down the street. And Bernie Sanders, 2020, we're going to truly make America great again.
Hey, you can't use Donald Trump's. You can't use Donald Trump's line like there's only one person making America great again. That's Donald Trump. And if we want Bernie Sanders to finish up whatever is left of America, Bernie Sanders will spend it. Let's look at Venezuela. If you want to see where Bernie Sanders can take us, just look at Venezuela. And I like Bernie. He's a nice guy. He's a cute, nice old guy, but he's not going to lead America anywhere but down the toilet bowl if he was to be elected the leader of this great nation.
Please. Please.
We can't afford Bernie Sanders. He's willing to spend us into oblivion.
How could Japan have socialized matters? All the European countries that we bank of military, all of them got socialized medicine. Do you think that it's justice for 29 million people?
Well, I mean, I think you can make a good argument on the socialized medicine, Marcia.
Do you not want them to have health care?
No, listen, I think you can make an argument on your health care issue, but I think where a lot of people kind of look at Bernie Sanders as a little wacky is when he starts talking free college, free everything, and we just can't sustain that.
Free college. Germany has free.
They're not Germany and all those places. But listen, a lot of those places also have trade programs, and everyone's not going to college in Germany. And again, their economy is not as robust.
Well, what I would suggest a lot of Americans, if they can't get free college, is go to some European countries. You can go to Germany and get you the
I listen. I suggest to anybody that wants all that free stuff too, go to Germany. I'm with you on that, Marcia. If you want free stuff, if you want a free education, you want socialized medicine, America's not the place for you.
Know what?
Go to Germany.
That contributes to a country being great when you educate the people, when you keep them healthy. That contributes to making this country great.
I agree, but I think what you do is you empower the people to be able to do that for themselves, not empower the government to do that for the people.
Well, you haven't done it so far. You got 43 Democrats. That's the reason why they're in trouble. They signed. They said that your man colluded with the Russians, and yet still they have given him.
Are we still talking about Russia here? That big nothing burger. There's nothing going on with my president in Russia. I mean, come on, let's just be honest here. There's still.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know that's true. I agree with you on that. I don't think.
I mean, like I keep telling people, you might have had some people on his staff that were trying to make themselves seem more important than they really were. I'm taking some phone calls and saying, hey, I can get you a meeting with Trump. I want to introduce you to this person and that person. I mean, I've told people this multiple times. In the line of politics, in the line of consulting, there's always some guy that's out there that's willing to boost his own resume to say he's got this connection and that connection and try to boost things up. And it was no collusion like, okay, we're going to work with Russia and Russia's going to work with the Trump campaign. To me, like I tell people, Russia, if this is the case, if they were already doing business with Trump in the private sector, they also were doing business with Hillary Clinton and Podesta.
Exactly.
And so they had both of their bases covered in terms of if they were – I can imagine Russia probably didn't have much of a preference on who was going to be the next president because they had already – the Uranium One deal, they worked that through Hillary Clinton.
They wanted Trump because he's a useful idiot. He's an idiot. Hillary is a little smarter than Trump.
She was more politically corrupt, is the words you want to use.
Yeah,
she'd already been politically corrupted. She ain't smarter. She was just more politically corrupt. She'd already completed the Uranium One deal, so I can imagine Russia. Yeah, I mean, if you want to say it, Trump was more fluid in the language of business. So I think that this is my thing. Russia could look at it like this. Trump is going to be easier to deal with if we can somehow make it business friendly.
And Chris had just said he's a useful idiot.
He's not a useful idiot. That's fine if people want to address it that way. But at the end of the day, they looked at it two things. Trump has his mind on business, and he likes to be complimented. He likes to be, made feel good. So they knew how they could approach Trump. And Hillary Clinton was more like, well, hey, we've already done deals with Hillary Clinton, and we've gotten 20% of the world's uranium supply right here based off of the work that Hillary Clinton has done for us. So, I truly believe that if Mueller continues this investigation, it's going to land at the doorstep of Hillary Clinton and Podesta. I really do believe that.
Right. I agree with that. But let me tell you, it's a deep state. They are hiding the fact that they are cutting out $1 trillion out of Medicaid. So if you got grandparents in nursing home, they may need to knock on the door. They're cutting out $500 million out of Medicare. People call your Congress people up. We have got to unseat every one of them. Every one of those Republicans needs to be taken out of office. And over 3/4 of the Democrats, we need to replace them in 2018.
Well, Marcia, this is one thing I want to say about that. There is so much fraud and so much waste. And I think that if we put more emphasis on identifying where the waste and all the corruption is at, then we wouldn't, that number would go down anyway. People take advantage of government programs, and that includes hospitals and billers and insurers and everyone else. And I think that the more you dig deeper into the waste, the more money we can save. And
you know what?
I do believe
this is the reason why the Democrats, all of their social programs have done nothing but kill the dreams of the American people. They have done absolutely nothing. All the social programs Look at the conditions.
You know, Marcia, the good old saying.
Today.
There you go. The war on poverty.
Democratic programs have done nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
And I think people need to look at these liberal programs that they get. They come out and have these liberal programs and put their children in charge of. My friend just lost her job. She's been a social worker for 25 years, and here comes some little snip just out of college with a 4-year master's in social work, and take over the jobs of people that's been doing this type of work for the past 20 years.
Well, you know, you can make the argument for doing it.
What these liberals do, set up these social programs, come over here, and you can do this, and we can help you. And all the time, they don't do nothing but keep you in poverty. So don't go to no more liberal social programs to just say, no, come over here and this and that.
Amen.
Join on with Bernie Sanders, and we're going to really make America great, baby.
All right. Thank you, Marcia. You were doing good there to that last part with Bernie Sanders. Thank you so much for calling in this morning. I appreciate it. Even she got a laugh. She knows she ain't right. Thanks a lot, Marcia. You cannot buy your way out of poverty with government spending, folks. And I was agreeing with her. These liberal programs, this war on poverty will continue as long as we believe that the government's going to get us out of it. We'll be right back on the Wayne Bradley Show on 9:10 a.m., your superstation.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
910 AM Superstation, the only urban talk radio station in town.
The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. And as Muslims, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to respect our women and to protect our women. And the only time a Muslim really gets real violent when someone goes to molest his woman. He will kill you for our woman. I'm making it plain. Yes, we will kill you for our woman. We believe that if the white man will do whatever is necessary to see that his woman gets respect and protection, then you and I will never be recognized as men until we stand up like men and place the same penalty over the head of anyone who puts his filthy hands out to put in the direction of our women.
910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. 910 AM Superstation is in a league of its own. We are the only talk radio station in the Metro Detroit area sensitive to the African American community.
Make sure you join us on what station?
910 AM the Superstation.
910 AM.
910 AM. On 910 AM Superstation.
910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only African American based talk radio station. Don't miss the best day party in town every Saturday at 4 p.m. on 910 AM Superstation with Chuck Bennett.
If I meet 2 people at each party, that's 10 people every week that I meet. At the end of the year, that's 520 people at parties.
Right.
That's a lot of names to remember.
That is.
But now, so then I get somebody who comes up to me and says, "Hi, Chuck, do you remember me?" All right, you do the math.
Saturdays at 4 p.m. only on 910 AM Superstation. There's always something new to talk about, and 910 AM Superstation wants to have you covered from every angle. So we're adding some familiar voices and strong opinions to the best talk radio station in town.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Riley, and I'm so glad to be joining the family at 910 AM Superstation. We're going to be talking about it all Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Don't miss it.
910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. There's always something new to talk about, and 910 AM Superstation wants to have you covered from every angle. So we're adding some familiar voices and strong opinions to the best talk radio station in town.
Wake up, Detroit, with the Wayne Bradley Show every morning from 5 to 7 a.m. Start your day off the right perspective. The Wayne Bradley Show.
From 7 to 9 a.m., we'll have the editor for the Detroit News, Nolan Finley.
This is the most volatile time in the country in my professional career. And, that generates a lot of news, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Followed by the one and only David Alexander Bullock from 9 to 11 a.m.
The People Show, man, we bring it to you live and in full effect.
The always insightful and controversial Steve Niebling from 11 a.m. to noon.
And I do want to hear from you what you want to hear from me.
Bankalay Thompson from noon to 2 p.m.
This is the platform where we delve into the facts and informed opinion. We ask the tough questions.
The Cliff Russell Show from 2 to 4 p.m.
I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care.
Spud from 4 to 6 p.m.
Detroit's only African-American talk station, 24/7 Spud is here.
Rochelle Riley from 6 to 7 p.m.
I want to stress that this adventure is about life in Detroit and Michigan.
This Pastor Mo, a.k.a. the Street Preacher, a.k.a. the Street Sweeper.
You listen to the Lola George Show. It's your girl, Lola George.
910 a.m. Superstation, the voice of Detroit.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show. Wake up, Detroit. You're back with Wayne Bradley here live on 910 a.m. your superstation. We've been talking the different allegations, and this is, and again, that's why I'm going to say I'm proud to be a Republican. We don't put out cover for this kind of thing. There's been more Republicans asking for Roy Moore to either step down. I honestly believe there are some Republicans like Graham who'd rather lose than have this guy win in Alabama. And all I can say is thank goodness I don't work or live in Alabama right now and have to have that, this kind of campaign to defend or work with, because his allegations are indefensible. There's no question about that. But Republicans, we will stand on some principle. And again, it's interesting watching Donald Trump having to dance around this issue because, of course, we want his agenda to get done in the Senate and in the House. But at what cost, I guess, is the question that some Republicans are asking themselves. A lot in the consultant world, the D.C. world, is this the way we want to win? Would we rather lose? Would we be better off long term by not winning with a guy like Roy Moore becoming the U.S. Senator in Alabama? Now, like I told people before, Alabamans do things a little different down there. And I told folks they really didn't care if the rest of the country is looking at them like they're crazy. Guess what? They don't care. They're going to do what they feel like is the best thing for Alabama, and they're going to send in the person that represents their values. And this Democrat Jones, whoever he is, he's a very liberal guy for Alabama. He's pro-choice, so that means he's for abortion, which does not. I don't see how that even gets him on the ballot, even for a Democrat. I'm surprised that he was elected. But at the same time, this guy's got a track record of representing, some skinheads and Nazis as an attorney. He's done some, this guy's not all that great. And again, I think that because of the allegation, when we're talking about dealing with minors, I think that is what's thrown off most Republicans. It's like, well, and again, I got a daughter too. I know that feeling. Like, well, I wouldn't even want to go near this guy. He's toxic, right? But Alabamans are going to make that final decision, folks. Whether the rest of the country likes it or not, Alabama, the decision is in their hands. I kind of respect Roy Moore for not dropping out, because a lot of people under that kind of pressure, in particular in politics, Republican politics, they would have quit. When you have all these different sitting senators asking you to, step down, they're not going to support you. I don't know how to, again, you got to respect it see, that's the difference. He believes that he's done nothing wrong. And that's why he hasn't, he's not apologized the way Al Franken hasn't apologized or had to step away from the committee the way John Conyers hasn't had to go into hiding like Harvey Weinstein has, who I think is going to be, who really opened the Pandora's box for the Dems and libs and really just powerful men in general. I jokingly tell people the only person that wasn't really tripping during this time was my guy Mike Pence, because Mike Pence has the rule. He doesn't go out or doesn't go anywhere alone with any women. He doesn't do lunch. He doesn't do any of these kind of things without other people being in the room. And so while people joked and thought that was archaic, like some archaic type things to do, he's protected himself and he's living what he's talking about. And I think that's the only time that Republicans get in trouble is because we're the ones that are supposed to be for the morality and sticking up for the right principles. So and that's why I respect the Republicans that are asking him to step down, because they're believing that they're sticking into the tried and true principles of the Republican Party, and they don't want those smeared or the lines blurred on that. And so that's why a lot of Republicans have asked for Roy Moore to step aside. He's not going to do it, but they have asked. And again, if you look at the way that Nancy Pelosi danced around trying to deal with John Conyers on this issue, I think that you can see a very big difference in the way how we deal with these kind of things compared to these Democrats. So I'm going to go to John, who's on the line. John, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, how you doing, Wayne?
All right, how you doing?
I think, it's all the sin, all this corruption when they come up with these women. But my thing is, what the people want them to do when you elect a person in office, they're not no pope now.
I agree.
These humans, sure they do things. They do things. That's just like a person working a regular job. If you work a regular job, they're gonna fire you because you didn't went out here and had an affair with a woman.
They would fire you if they would fire you if they had to pay out a settlement to somebody about it. More than likely, they would fire you. If they had to pay out a settlement, if you worked for FedEx, you worked for any corporation, and some woman, especially a 90-year-old guy, or if you was an older man, and she said she was sexually harassed, and then you settled out, they're probably going to let that guy go, too. They're going to transfer you. If you live in Michigan, they're going to transfer you to Alaska.
I agree with you. Sexual harassment is different than somebody coming back 30 or 40 years later and said you did such and such thing. See what they're going to do. They're going to make laws in the future saying that you sign this paper, if you have any kind of sexual harass situation on the job, you report it then. Don't come up talking about 30 years later. See, that's what got Gary.
Now listen, I think that's a very good point to bring up. Is that in some kind of way, like the thing what happened with John Conyers, obviously this girl, whoever she was, she went and reported directly, and she got taken care of, got a severance package. The thing was, even in her paperwork, she said she didn't want to hurt the reputation of John Conyers. She didn't want it to come out. And this is something that accusers and victims have to, when it's in particular when you're dealing with a powerful person, these are the kind of things that she's having to deal with. She didn't want the charges to become public because she didn't want to hurt his image. And so, to me, that's a whole nother challenge. And that's why I think that John Conyers is not going to have to step down. I think that overall his image, and even if his accuser was willing to protect him, what do you think that his average supporter is going to do? If his own accusers, who didn't feel comfortable working in his office, who has all this respect for him as this civil rights icon and all these different things, she didn't want to work there. She took the severance package. What do you think the average John Conyers supporter is going to do right now? They're going to say he should stand tall, that his record and everything that he's done, which, legislatively he hasn't done anything in about 20 plus years. Let's just be clear here. And I think that's, to me, the biggest issue I have with a guy like John Conyers is he's allowed to run on his name and not on results, not on what he's actually voting on and getting done. He's been talking about this reparations bill probably since I was in high school. No one is going to sign. And now you can make the argument that there should be some sort of reparations that should be made to the black community. I've always said, hey, if you want to let me send my kids to college for free, similar to what the Indians get, I'll be okay with that. But in terms of people getting 40 acres and a mule or some kind of big severance check, it's not going to happen, folks. And so that's what Conyers is work. The last bill that I remember him passing was when they put labels on liquor bottles about what it can do to the side effects if you're pregnant or something like that. That's how long ago it's been.
Well, it's just like I said earlier, the problem is with when people's voting and with a lot of these politicians, people's had too much faith in them.
Oh, yeah, no question.
The Bible tells you flesh will fail you and the spirit is strong. And then when you sinning and stuff like that, you get caught up. See,
no question. It always comes to the light.
Because people's putting I don't care what party you in, people's putting all their faith in man, and it ain't going to never go right. In this country, we put all our faith and confidence on somebody because we vote for them for different parties. I don't care what party it is. It ain't nothing going to go right. Just like people's crying now about 90 or 9 million kids going to be cut off something doing with the medical situation. Well, you people look at the people that put the party in office that's causing this. And then,
to be fair, John, to be fair about the party,
I don't look at it as no black thing and no white thing because there's more of them than it is us.
Right.
And whatever the president do, whether it's good or bad, it's going to affect more of them than it is us.
Agreed. No, I agree. And I think that the way we have to look at this the medical system, it's broken. And what we've been having, and this is what I want people to understand is the discussion we're having about healthcare here in America right now is not about the quality of care. It's about who's paying for it. And I think that people need to understand that. It's not about making sure that you're okay. It's about who's paying for it and shifting costs from one person to the other, whether it's Medicaid, whether it's to the employee. A lot of costs have been shifted back onto us. Our premiums are higher, our deductibles are higher, and the lack of quality care is the real issue in America. In particular, for those who didn't have insurance, who live in the communities where you don't have a lot of access to health care, and that's why I just point like how you were saying that goes for not just the hood. That's rural areas. Rural areas are the ones that don't have access to hospitals. They're the ones that don't have urgent care facilities readily around them. And so, we need better health care in America. And
you're 100% right. And a lot of people's looking at the fact that, first of all, you got certain parties that they don't care nothing about life. They don't care nothing about
you can make that argument that either party in a certain way doesn't.
They spend all this money overseas, helping other countries, going over in other countries, trying to dictate their election, and all this money they spend unnecessarily. What's wrong with? And then you're going to talk about it's a health care problem. Well, who's going to pay for it? They don't have problems sending billions overseas.
Agreed. Now you're talking to the right person on that, John. I'm with you on that, and I do believe that was part of what Donald Trump's message was in the very beginning, was putting America first, putting the needs of the American people, the voter, over corporate interests. And I think that was Donald Trump's selling point, is that, hey, look, we've got.
I'm going to say this right quick. The reason why they don't want the university health care in this country, because they know they can regulate how much money them doctors make. In other words, you go in the hospital, you paying $9 and $10 for an aspirin that you can get for $3. See, they don't want that regulated.
That's the same thing that just happened here in the state of Michigan in terms of with this insurance piece with the car insurance. In Michigan, the hospitals here rely on the fact that they know people could get into auto accidents, and that they can charge much more money for an auto accident than they could if you just fell out of a tree and hurt your leg. And so it's all about the money. It has nothing to do with the quality of care.
Regulate prices and stuff like that. See, they ain't worried about it. Just like these senators that we watching on TV fighting about this bill and that bill. Well, hell, most of the senators is rich. They ain't worried about the health care thing and they family.
Oh, they've got the best health care available. Yeah,
it's the folks, the working peoples, the struggling that this situation take effect on. It don't take effect on them. Ask them how much. Ask them about who's paying for their health care and all that kind of stuff. See that's and American people are tired and fed up with these policies they got, and that's going to be America's downfall. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. And I think that John exemplifies why Donald Trump got elected. Now, John might not have even supported Donald Trump. I didn't get a chance to ask him. But John's frustration is the exact reason that Donald Trump won as president. People are tired of their politicians putting their the needs of corporate interests above the people that actually got them elected. Politics has to be the only place where you can get elected by a group of people and totally ignore them, because the way you stay in office is by the corporations and the big corporate dollars and the folks to keep you afloat. And it's just a strange thing to watch people totally not put the people first in these kind of discussions. And my frustration, again, when you're dealing with it from the Democrat-Republican side of things, is that Democrats give you this image that they care about the poor and they care about minorities and they care about this group. But all that is to them is a voting block. Unfortunately, Republicans, we kind of disenfranchised and didn't pay enough attention to these other groups for years, whether it's minorities, whether it's all, manufacturing and workers. These guys all want to live the American dream. And Donald Trump came in and emboldened, and took that mentality and listened to these kind of folks, and that's why he won. And I still think that a lot of people in D.C. just don't get it. They're there for their own self-serving interests, or they're there because of corporate entities that have kept them in power, and those are the people they represent, not the people that actually elect them. And we got this net neutrality law. This one concerns me because now what we're going to do is we're going to, again, there's going to be some differences in the way even our internet could work, And the phone companies, they're excited about this because now they'll be able to get more money, maybe from the cable companies. And guess what? Those costs will be passed on to us. A lot of people have cut the cable cord. And so these telecommunications companies and these cable companies have to figure out a way to make more money. So let's change the laws. Let's figure out ways where we can charge more money for content. We can make premium website, and we're going to do more research on this over the next couple of days, because I don't think a lot of Americans understand how important it is when you're dealing with this net neutrality law that, keeping the internet a fair playing ground for all different content. When you get your Comcast or your Uverse or whatever bill it is, you don't assume that certain websites are going to come through quicker than others because they have a partnership with this cable company. I think that's just bad business, folks. I think that you're going to start seeing that some of the places, again, to start a web-based business, you won't be able to do that because you're going to have to step up to the plate and pay a lot more money for your ISP and for your website to be amongst these, tier one websites. And to me, that's what it sounds like to me, is they're going to make money even off the way or who you go get your content from. And prices will continue to rise. I don't think that this is in any way helpful for consumers. So people be diligent on that. Pay attention to that, because these are the kind of things that, everyone likes to enjoy using the internet. Everyone likes going on YouTube and listening to your favorite sources. That could change. So pay attention to all these things, folks. Pay attention. 313-209-9000. Again, the number is 313-209-9000. With so much going on in the world right now and talking about all these sexual harassment suits and things like that, you totally forget that we're over there in the Middle East winning some wars here, beating ISIS down to the ground. And the media doesn't really even cover that. It blows my mind that a lot of the media is so interested in making Donald Trump look bad and only reporting negative news that they just omit and don't report any of the good things that are going on, whether it's the economy that's bouncing back. If you have a 401k right now, if you have stock, I'm sure you've noticed the difference in Donald Trump making America great again. But the news does not want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about any of the successes that this president is having, but they choose to only go. They don't want to talk about the fact that President Trump, empowered his military to make strategic decisions on how they can handle ISIS. And guess what? ISIS is beginning to fold, folks. And they're no longer, being treated like the JV team, is what President Obama once referred to them. They're being treated as the military threat that they are, and they're being destroyed. There's not a stronger military in the world than America, and they're being destroyed. Now, you can say that this all it will do is create another whole wave of, young men that want to join ISIS and join the fight. Well, step up, and you will also meet the same fate as your fathers. We don't do that in America. We're going to, again, you have a leader now that is, he's not scared of confrontation. I think that is something we were so used to. President Obama, who's a gentlemanly kind of president, no question about that. He was always calm, and I always felt that he had to remain calm for multiple reasons. One being that he knew that he couldn't lose his temper and lash out the way other presidents have been allowed to, because again, he was a brother. He understood that there was the dynamics of the way, I don't care what level you work in, whether it's as a lawyer, whether you're a coach, whether you're the quarterback, whether you're whoever you are, black man must remain calm at all times, or you will be labeled the angry black man, and that'll get in the way of progress. You want to slow down your career, you want to slow down getting results, start being called an angry black man and see how far that gets you. Doesn't get you far, and so President Obama understood that, but at times he was not tough enough on terrorism. He didn't address it the way he wanted. He wasn't addressing terrorism the way that made a lot of people feel comfortable. And Donald Trump has done that. And so I think that in this situation, again, when we're talking about dealing with ISIS and protecting America, Donald Trump has done his job. Donald Trump has done his job, and the media has been very reluctant to share that side of the news. They only want to talk about negativity when it comes to President Trump, and so you'll get the real here. I won't sugarcoat it. Nobody's perfect. None of these leaders are perfect. But what we try to do here is try to have an honest discussion about what our president's doing, what our elected officials are doing in general. And I think that I do agree to a certain point that allegations should not be able to be made and to destroy one's career. But, hey, if you made a cash-out settlement, it's past making it an allegation. That's proof. That's proof right there. So we're going to go to a break. I want you to, coming back from the break, give us a call, 313-209-9000. Again, that number is 313-209-9000. You're listening to The Wayne Bradley Show, and we'll be back shortly.
It's The Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up. It's The Wayne Bradley Show. It's The Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio.
Great news. 910 AM Superstation is growing, and you can watch as well as listen anywhere you go. The 910 AM Superstation app is now supported on iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Amazon Kindle Fire, Windows Phone, Apple TV, and Roku. 910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. 910 AM Superstation is the voice of the people. Don't believe me? Just listen.
I listen all the time. Great radio personalities.
The new mobile site is incredible. With the visual live feed, this is a whole new level for community broadcasting. I'm also very impressed with the Bible section present both in a written and audio format. 910 AM has really stepped it up to a whole new level.
Tune in, call in, and don't forget to find us on social media. 910 AM Superstation. giving you exactly what you need by any means necessary. Thank you for calling 910 AM Superstation. What's your question or comment?
My comment is about back when they were putting this bankruptcy on us, we were tricked severely by the team that was sent in to negotiate. What occurred was they threatened them with, in order to get this agreement across, you have to agree not to sue us. That statement alone would have had me still at the bargaining table, because you apparently were very insecure about what you were agreeing to if you insisted that we couldn't sue you. And so I do know that a lot of people were tricked. They approached the older seniors with these booklets.
910 AM Superstation, the only urban talk radio station in town. Every weeknight at 9 p.m. is something new and something fresh.
This is Todd Corser, and I want you to check out my show. Listen in and call every week as we explore government and hot topics. Tune in, raw and uncut.
This is attorney Michael Schwartz at 910 AM Superstation, and you can hear me every Tuesday night starting at 9 p.m.
Hello, Detroit. This is attorney Crystal Crittenden, and please tune in to my new show, The Truth Matters, on 910 AM Superstation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Mitchell, your host of Mind Your Business. Listen to my show live every Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m.
I'm Reverend Maya Lisa Reynolds, inviting you to listen to Mama Maya Speaks Friday evenings from 9 until 11 p.m., discussing education, motivation, and inspiration on Superstation 910 AM.
Different names, different voices, but the same energy. 910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. Every weeknight at 9 p.m. is something new and something fresh.
This is Todd Corser, and I want you to check out my show. Listen in and call every week as we explore government and hot topics. Tune in, raw and uncut.
This is attorney Michael Schwartz at 910 AM Superstation, and you can hear me every Tuesday night starting at 9 p.m.
Hello, Detroit. This is attorney Crystal Crittenden, and please tune in to my new show, The Truth Matters, on 910 AM Superstation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Mitchell, your host of Mind Your Business. Listen to my show live every Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m.
I'm Reverend Maya Lisa Reynolds, inviting you to listen to Mama Maya Speaks Friday evenings from 9 until 11 p.m., discussing education, motivation, and inspiration on Superstation 910 AM.
Different names, different voices, but the same energy. 910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. We're the hottest station in town. Whatever you need, it's right here on 910 AM Superstation, the most powerful voices in the urban community. 910 AM Superstation gives you the flip side, the real side. This is our side.
Listen live now.
The number one station, period.
And on that note, let's get back to the program.
You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative lyrical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative lyrical radio.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show, live on 910 AM, your superstation. Wake up, Detroit. Wake up. Give us a call, 313-209-9000. So, as I was talking about before the break, I'm going to go into this. We're going to talk a little bit about how we're destroying ISIS, because I think that all we talk about is sexual allegations and all this other stuff. Let's get to the real news. Donald Trump, one by one, day by day, bomb by bomb, Moab, the mother of all bombs and everything. We are taking out ISIS. Let's go to this clip and let's listen to what we're doing with ISIS here.
ISIS now setting its sights on Christmas markets, hoping to mimic the carnage of last year's truck attack in Berlin. But Christians aren't the only ones being targeted, and Egypt is now vowing revenge for Friday's bloody rampage at a packed mosque. So what needs to be done to crush the radical ideology? Here to discuss is former member of the Israeli Special Counter Operations Terrorism Unit, Aaron Cohen. Mr. Cohen, as always, good to see you here. And I'm going to start out with what Americans are worried about. What should our officials here in the U.S. be doing so that terror does not strike between now and Christmas?
Well, there's no way to stop terrorism. We haven't been able to stop it in Israel. We can slow it down. You slow it down by cranking up your intel gathering. Intelligence is the most critical layer of counterterror operations. You need actionable intelligence. So once you've got the intelligence game hammered down, then you can deploy military forces, special operations units to go and neutralize and kill those terrorist leaders. Those are what you want. That's what we want to do. We want to kill the terrorist leaders or capture them alive so that we can interrogate them and then prevent future attacks from happening here in the States. So I want to differentiate. Certain terrorists you want to kill, the mid-level ones. The leaders you want to capture so you can get more juice. You can squeeze them and you can prevent further attacks. The other thing that we need to be looking at here, since the intelligence in our country is still sort of finding itself. There's so many lone wolves out there. There's so much action we're seeing in Egypt right now. ISIS is still operating abroad. We need to bolster the defense while we're figuring out the intel. So what does that mean? It means that we need to get our soft target security up and increased incrementally and more aggressively, specifically for the holidays. And I mean that cities and counties, wherever there's crowds, there needs to be soft targets, security, and it's got to be armed security. It's got to be able to respond with a appropriate amount or more aggressive amount of force. So if somebody comes in shooting, you have to be able to respond with an equal amount or more aggressive amount of gunfire. So that means the private sector and releasing some federal money to be able to bolster the security specifically for the holidays here. That's where I come out.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your views on the private sector participating in this effort. Two questions. One, who pays for it and where are these individuals deployed?
Well, let's scrap the $7 billion waste of mall cop money that we're spending on the TSA. Let's squeeze them out. Let's hand that over to the FBI and let the federally trained professionals of the Federal Bureau of Investigation start to take over, or let them put together some kind of special security screening apparatus for the actual check-in. Stop looking for weapons, start looking at behavior. There's $7 billion or at least $3 billion that's released from there, and then start feeding that to the cities so that they can start giving out contracts to private sector companies that are hiring vets that can function under stress, that have been operating in forward areas, that are comfortable in and around terrorism. Get them armed, get them in uniform, and get them plain-clothed, get them some additional active shooter response training, start bolstering the private industry. I would start squeezing that money out of the TSA. You got $8 billion there, and we're still taking off our shoes, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of work to be done there, so we can start squeezing that money out from there. That's where I would go.
In the 15 seconds we have remaining, will the appropriate authorities take the steps that you recommend?
Probably not. And the reason why is there's a lot of steps that have to be done. So there's going to be a lot more of this run, hide, fight, report, situational awareness. We need to keep our eyes open and report. And the problem is it's not reporting and running and hiding doesn't stop the terrorists. So I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're going to see a lot of different things happening, particularly for these holidays. But hopefully by this time next year, we'll be having a different conversation. There'll be some more layers in place. I have faith in the president that he's aggressive, and that's a positive sign. So we'll see.
Aaron Cohen, insightful and eye-opening as always. Thank you very much, sir.
There you go. And so the real threat, and if you listen to what he's saying, is ISIS is stepping up their attacks, and I believe that Donald Trump is going to step up his. The only way to fight that kind of terror is with aggression. We can't negotiate with terrorists, and the fact is, if you can bring a mighty country like America to negotiate with terrorists, then the terrorists win. Bottom line, can't negotiate with terrorists. All right, we're going to bring in my guy. It's wide awake. I'm back on the air, and I'm glad my guy called in this morning. We're going to bring in Walter. Walter, welcome to the show, my friend.
Wayne, man, I finally got you live again.
Man, I apologize. You know, we had a lot of stuff going on over here. I had holidays, babies being born. It's been a long couple of weeks here, but I'm back live, Walter. Thanks for calling in, my brother.
That's right, man. We family people, and we got to live a real life. You know, can't work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So check it out, man. It's going to be hot and heavy this morning. I heard the subject. I want to tell you what the contrast between Barack Omar, Muhammad, Ali Rashid, well known as Barack Obama. Speaking of ISIS, that's his Muslim family. Okay, as president, he said
he created ISIS. He is the founder of ISIS. No question about that.
And I believe John McCain created him too, but that's a different story. I'll get back to him.
John McCain he motivated him. John McCain motivated him, and Obama he founded the group. He let them get away with. He said they were the JV team. Walter.
Yes, and it's amazing to me how the lying news media, all those major networks, CNN liars, ABC, CBS, NBC, and all the rest of those liars. Shield Obama from his crookedness and his evil. By the way, he's an evil man in his heart, and it showed in the way he ran this country. Remember in that great inauguration where Jesse Jackson had tears running down his face, and all them Negroes stood up crying and all emotional, and all those grandmammies and grandpappies went to their graves in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank God, we finally see our first black president. You bunch of racist Negroes, you voted for him only because he's black. So I guess some of them went to they was wagging their heads in church and out of church and everything else. Ain't got sense enough to go crazy. But anyway, remember, as president, remember the reason Democrats don't win wars.
Right.
They don't believe in using that weaponry. He gave, remember, the rules of engagement. Barack Obama and the Democrats, especially if he got a Democrat Congress, they don't believe in giving our soldiers all the things they need to win a war. Okay, remember this one. Also, recently, before Barack Obama got out of office, shows that he's an enemy of our police officers from some of the things he said and all that crap when he started. It started with Trayvon Martin, by the way. If I was, my son looked like Trayvon Martin. Remember that one?
Right.
Okay. I know.
Having beer summits, and all that kind of foolishness.
Yeah. That's it, man. And when we don't get a bunch of Negroes calling.
Now, it's interesting that I got to bring that up, Walter. Beer summit, black guy gets harassed by the cops, and Obama's solution is like, hey, why don't everybody come up to the White House and have a beer? I don't think if Donald Trump did that it would be received as well. For some reason, if a cop was harassing a black man down in Massachusetts, and Trump was like, oh, who cares? Let's just have a beer summit. I don't think that would be covered as positively as they did with Barack Obama. He was able to get away with stuff that no one else could get away with.
And his voters let him get away with stuff. And the only thing they can give him credit for is talking about, well, he kept GM.
Well, and George Bush did that. And George Bush actually was the one to help do that. And the thing, I find funny is that black folks now that it's over, and we got a year into Trump, now black folks feel a little more comfortable questioning, not criticizing, maybe questioning some of the things Barack Obama did. I find it interesting. It's taken a year, even after him not being in office, that people are just starting to get to the point where they'll say, well, maybe President Obama didn't have it all the way right, but his heart was good. They still can't just totally criticize the man.
Man, we find on all barrels, man. You hitting angles, and I'm hitting angles, man, and they need to hear this because I hear disenchanted Negroes calling this station.
Well, they claim to be independents now. That's every black Democrat's shame now, is that they can't just openly say, I'm a Democrat, because it actually sounds pretty silly at this point to see the lackluster results of what, pledging allegiance to the Democrat Party will get you. Nothing. And so now you got a bunch of what I would call the semi-educated and some folks saying, hey, well, I'm not with either party. I'm independent. No, you're not, because you're still voting with the Democrat Party. You're just ashamed of the lackluster results you're getting from doing for that kind of loyalty.
Right, man. They too flat out blatantly arrogant, and they don't see. The problem is you've been wrong all of your life, and you don't want to humble yourself and admit that you've been wrong. Right. The Democrats in the first place with their anti-God policies, their anti-Jew. That's right. Barack Obama his policies hated God and the church. His policies hated Israel, and that's why he's not blessed. He's sitting at home squirming and squealing and pilling and sitting in his seat, hating everything that Donald Trump reversed of his evil policies. of more food stamps, Negroes going to food banks, blood banks, selling their blood to make ends meet, and also record numbers of people moving back to their parents' homes, people that's in their 30s and their 40s right away, too.
Right.
Moving back. That's what Barack Obama...
Well, Barack Obama encouraged that. He said, I'm going to give you Obamacare where you can keep your kids on your insurance till they're 26 or 27. Yeah. That's sure to motivate your kid to get out the basement, I'm sure, right?
That is so true, man. Let me say this about the rules of engagement for us, our police officers. I didn't finish that point about.
Mm-hmm.
You remember he tried to take away body armament from our police officers who need to fight these race wars and all these Black Lives, Wall Street Matter, Black Lives Matter groups and all these hell raisers, and he wanted to take away body armament. Well, it's intimidating our citizens. So Barack Obama was very anti-America. Remember, he said he would fundamentally, and this is the worst part of it, all the people that cheered him and clapped for him.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to get their first Black African-American president. And we had another Black person who was way more qualified than Barack Obama, but they preferred to stick to their foolish party.
Right.
And he taking away their body armament and stuff like that. Didn't want them to win anything on the local level and the national level. So this is Barack Obama, and by the way, this is the same guy that said, if my daughter came up pregnant, and this is where his true evil heart is at.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about straight from the pits of hell. That's right, I said it, y'all. You get mad all you want to. He said, if my daughter came up pregnant, why would I punish her with a baby? That's why we got so much slaughter. That's what of babies. That's why slaughter clinics, known as abortion clinics, in the ghettos, in the low income areas, and strategically taking our people out one way. And all these Black people worried about talk about white supremacy. And by the way, one that used to be on his radio, Steve Hood, that took your place. I know they're mad he's gone because that's all he ever talked about with that Michael Motel, the racist guy. So they really miss their boy Steve being on this time slot. They can't stand you being on here telling the truth. Steve Hood is one of the most racist Negroes I've ever heard on this station. Good riddance.
I all I'll say is I try to give the facts here, man. And it's sometimes the truth is a hard pill to swallow with folks, and that's all we can.
Go again, one more time.
Go ahead.
Like I say this one more time. The average Black person, unless they humble themselves and admit they were wrong voting for them Democrats because they're a wicked platform, and especially John and some of them, they call it all the time, don't know the first thing they're talking about. Get telling lies and swallowing flies every time they call this station. This is what I got for them. One more time, here it comes.
Go ahead.
Half of you Negroes wouldn't know a good politician. If God dropped, I'm gonna change this one instead of a bucket of chitlins. If he dropped the soul food dinner with ribs on it and all their helpings, all the desserts and everything, dropped it out of the clouds on their head, they still wouldn't know a good politician if they tripped over them backwards and stumbled over them forward. I'm out of here, man.
All right, thank you, Walter. I appreciate it, brother. And again, that's something I think that people have to pay attention to. The only time, in my opinion, a lot of, coming from Detroit and a lot of politicians here, they rely off of name recognition, very little results, but name recognition and affiliations with other people that have more name recognition. Your endorsements and who's supporting you means more than what you've actually done. And, that is the struggle I have. And I think that I wish, if one of these days I'm going to just have some monologues and some podcasts and some discussions about the kind of candidates that we need in the Black community to step up and represent us. And I think the challenge is that we need Black business owners. We need people that are in a position that can't be tricked, that can't be manipulated by a little puny donation. They have their own resources. They're successful outside of politics, because I think that is the real problem with, if you look at the representation of our, Detroit delegation, there are no what I would call strong businessmen. Everyone has either had a different job and this is like a gig to a lot of these guys, and It beats regular work is the way I look at a lot of these politicians. It beats having a real job is how they look at it. And they treat the constituents as such. And as long as the constituents, which is the black community, is willing to, support politicians that don't bring results to the table, but that they're good at talking, good at, I always say Democrats are pros at pointing out the problems, racism, police brutality, sexual, but they offer no solutions. And their pride, their profit is in continuing to point out problems and not offer solutions. Republicans are always the ones bringing solutions to the table, always the ones cleaning up the mess, just like Rick Snyder did for Jennifer Granholm for the last 8 years. That's what he's done. He spent the last 8 years cleaning up a mess that Jennifer Granholm, some of the elected officials in Detroit, these Democrats, we spend our time cleaning up that mess so we can make Michigan the comeback state that it's become. And so, again, I think that Democrats, in particular, black Democrats, they would be better served if they started. And this, to me, this goes across, lines here. I think that black voters need to start putting more of their faith into people that have had success in the private sector. And they don't have the same name ID as a second or third generation politician. But we need to start putting more of our faith in people that have a track record of success and not just a track record of running your mouth. Showing up to protest is not a track record of success, folks. That's not the success of the protest. It's actually when something that's got done from the protest. That's your track record. Just being able to organize 30, 40 people and get them to protest on an issue that probably everyone should care about that's not a track record of success, folks. Until black folks and until we demand better, we're not going to get better. We're going to continue to get career, lifelong politicians that don't want to work, don't want to be in the private sector. They rather, be at the discretion of the public dollars and have the control of that and pretty much rubber stamp whatever policies that, whether it's, and locally the unions endorse, on a national level, they'll do whatever the DNC tells them to do. Our congressional leadership here in Michigan, as a Republican, we've got some of the best we can have. As a Democrat, you got two people that don't do very much of anything in terms of policy. So we're going to go to Marsha. Marsha's on the line. Marsha, thanks for calling in this morning.
Hello.
Good morning, Marsha.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Okay, I have something very quick to say. I'm not in for a discussion.
Okay.
Our people, when I say our people, black people are the only people that get on the radio and demonize their own race. And I wish we would stop that and find a different way to talk about each other without doing that.
You're talking about Walter, my good friend Walter that just called in?
Not just Walter. I mean, I don't know. I've listened to your show, and other black people do that, and I just think that it's wrong for us to deem it. Well, you don't see other races doing that.
Well, you also, to be fair, you don't see other races giving 95% of their vote to one political party.
Okay, but I'm not talking about the political party. I'm not talking about voting. I'm just saying that we have to find a way to talk about each other respectfully without talking about the race of people. Don't put everybody in one.
I agree. I'm totally with that. I understand that way of thinking, and we should do a better job of that, Marsha.
Okay, I appreciate you, and thank you very much.
All right, you have a good morning. Thank you for calling in. All right, we're going to go to Steve. Steve's on the line. Steve, thanks for calling in.
Wayne, how are you? I'm
doing good. How you doing this morning?
I don't know. I'm reading my dictionary this morning, and as I scroll past the A's, I scroll past the B's, I get to the C's, and I get to C-O, C-O-O, C-O-O-N, and I see coon, and guess who picture I see?
Oh, let me take a guess. Who?
Walter. In his time.
Oh.
It's Neanderthal thinking, and for those people who catch OJ-itis, you can't come home no more. We can't tolerate it. The black race can't tolerate people like that anymore. Marsha's right.
Well, Steve, what about this? Steve, I got to ask you this because I'm sure Walter's going to call back in on this.
Okay.
How do you
call back? I hope you keep me on line, Walt.
How do you feel when you see some of these elected officials? Now, you had no problem calling him a coon. I don't get into all that. What do you think about some of these elected officials that continually let down their constituents in the black community? What do you call them?
They got OJ-itis. They got coon-itis. They got self-hate. They have lack of knowledge of self. They're suffering from post-traumatic slave disorder. They suffer from Stockholm syndrome.
Are you talking about?
All of that.
So are you talking? Are you using the same description for some black Democrats?
Walter's all of that, and most of the preachers, most of the clergy is all of that. And to guarantee you, our local politicians, most of them are all of that.
Okay, well at least I
don't hold up nothing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this: I'll never vote for anybody in the GOP because the GOP is a death machine. The only way they get into office is by lying. They get into office by gerrymandering.
Wait a minute. You just throwing a whole cover over a whole party.
Exactly. They got it, Wayne. It was so I said, as soon as you wish you would wake up, you still have not shown any support of Roy Moore.
Who, me? I told you. Listen. I said before that. I mean, you got to listen to the show. You can go back 2 weeks. I warned folks back then. I said, hey, anybody that's being accused of messing with minors, I'm not on board with that. So I just said a minute ago.
I missed that.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm glad on everything that I don't live and work in Alabama right now in Republican politics because I would not want to be in a position where I would have to defend that. And a lot of Republicans, including Tim Scott, have asked him to step aside and not run.
Yes, but too many of the Republican Party has stood beside him, and in fact contributed to his defense fund. And in fact, you got a president that speaks the same language as
well, Steve. Let's just be clear.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish. You keep interrupting me. And I know it's your show, but what I'm saying is, if you are a party that does not like white people, poor white people, you do not like blacks, you do not like Mexicans, you do not like Arabs, you do not like immigrants, the only way you can get into office is by suppressing the vote and altering the vote by doing gerrymandering.
Both parties participate in gerrymandering, though, Steve. Come on. I mean, both parties do.
Absolutely. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying the party of at least the Democrats include most people, most of the working classes. The GOP does not. And I'll guarantee you, my brother, when the hammer comes down and you have to pick a side, I wonder what side you going to pick because you can't come home no more.
I'm good. I see that is what do you mean by you can't come home no more? What do you mean?
Because you got OJ-itis. You got OJ-itis.
Oh, man.
You got OJ-itis, my brother. You got OJ-itis. You talk about how good Rick Snyder is. This man poisoned the whole town. There's no difference. The only difference between him and Jim Jones is that he didn't use any Kool-Aid to flavor the water.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible, Steve.
That's what's terrible. You got people dying of Legionnaire's disease. This man's still in office whistling the work.
So wait a minute. We got more people in Detroit right now that have been getting caught up with high lead poisoning than they do in Flint.
But if they got lead poison, they got lead poison by osmosis. The fact that it's lead that's in the lines. We didn't get lead poison because somebody switched the water.
Same situation.
The bottom of the line, no, it's not the same situation. It's a different situation. It's just like saying John Conyers' situation with a grown woman is the same as Roy Moore. It's two different situations.
Well, and you're right. No, let's define the difference between Roy Moore and John Conyers. There's actually proof that John Conyers did what he said he did. No, wait a minute. You can't compare the two because there's no proof of what the allegations have been made against Roy Moore. And Nancy Pelosi herself said that we can't. Nancy Pelosi herself said you can't throw someone under the bridge over one allegation. And so that's what
Jim Jones had poisoned 908 18 people with water and Kool-Aid flavoring. Rick Snyder poisoned a whole town with water because of budgets and because of a crony legislation which led to almost all the assets of all urban cities in Michigan having their assets stolen through false pretensions. You had all democracy. You're such a patriot. All you Republicans claim you're such a patriot.
Yes, we
What
are.
are you doing about all these cities that have their democracy hijacked through PA 436?
Wait a minute.
What are you doing?
Jim Blanchard, a Democrat, created that law, Steve. Let's go
saying.
No, wait. You can't throw out half of the truth. Jim Blanchard was a Democrat. Wait a minute. Jim Blanchard was a Democrat that created the EM laws for Flint in the 1980s.
Listen to this. The people voted the PA4 down, and right now.
And so what Governor Snyder did was took the existing law on the books. He took the existing law on the books.
Right now, we're heading towards witching hour in Michigan. Every December, the legislature passes derogatory or the dronian legislation against the people. Every December. Watch what happens this December. That's why you pretty much.
I think you really mean every other December. Every other December.
Every other December.
Well, I mean, again, this is what the Michigan legislature does.
I'm glad you know what I mean.
Because every time you're in a
you got a case of OJ-itis because you knew what I meant.
No, I knew what you meant because I know politics. Hold on, Steve. Wait a minute, brother. I know politics, and I know that every 2 years after a legislative session is over, when you're going to a lame duck session, you get all these crazy bills, and that goes on both sides again. You can't get mad when the Republicans do it.
You got OJ-itis. I'm mad when Republicans do it, and because they cheat, they deregulate. They
and so you don't mind when the Democrats cheat and when they add over-regulation.
I'm telling you right now. I'd rather have over-regulations than deregulation.
There you go. Well, that's the prime example of the difference between a Republican and a Democrat. You want more government. I want less, Steve.
I tell you this. Who created the last Great Depression?
Steve. I asked you. You want more government. I want less government. That's more government is always going to be the problem at the heart of these issues.
Who created the last Great Depression?
I'm pretty going to say a Republican. So, all right, Steve, we got to wrap this up here. We're going to a break. We're going to talk about some more of this after the break. All right, thanks for calling in, Steve. I do appreciate it, my brother. All right, you're listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 a.m. your superstation. We will be back.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
This Total Traffic Report is brought to you by MGM Grand Detroit. MGM Grand Detroit is giving away a Dodge Charger every Tuesday and Saturday through November 28th with its 8 cars, 8 days promotion. Visit the M Life Rewards desk for details. Must be 21 or older and present to win. Grand times ahead.
910 AM Superstation. When you're interested in the current events, we talk about it.
Reverend's on the line. Reverend, please.
Well, look, this investment has just happened in the last 3 or 4 years. 30 years ago, you couldn't get white people or banks or
black people,
billionaires to spend a dime in this town. It's all here now. And while it's happening now, let's at least be mindful of other folks that neighborhoods are not going to become marketable to newcomers and folks who are moving back, like Dexter and Elmhurst, Dexter and Collingwood, that people have been living there 40 and 50 years, that helping hands to marginalize those neighborhoods, working class black neighborhoods, working class Hispanic neighborhoods. That's all I'm saying. And nobody, and by the way, if we had the money, we would have done it. But we were redlined. Even black billionaires and millionaires couldn't get money to build in this town. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not talking about Douglas. I'm talking about where these people want to invest and who they want to have benefit. Let's open it up to more people than just those who look like them who want to move back to this town.
Yes.
God bless y'all. I'm going to listen. I ain't calling no more.
It's your show, Rev. You can do what you want.
910 AM Superstation, the only urban talk radio station in town. If the conversation is hot and the lines are jammed, give us a try at 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601. That's 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601.
910 Superstation is off the chisane.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit, and we want to hear what you have to say by any means necessary. 910 AM Superstation, the leader in facts.
People are not going to do things to your community if they know you care. If you care about your community, that decreases people from actually wanting to do things on your community.
Opinions.
Now we see Wayne State catching all kinds of flack for not graduating enough African-American students. And guess what? Could they when there was 9 years of school takeover? Nobody's talking about that.
Voices.
The UAW, AFSCME, AFL, they have a process. That process, by the way, is often dictated by who they see of their friends or pro-labor or whatever. We understand that. That's reasonable because you guys have a PAC, you have a political activity that has to buttress the bottom line of your work. But the rest of these PACs and anyone who will suggest otherwise is just lying through their yellow teeth that you don't have to pay for that stuff is disingenuous.
And everything in between. 910 AM Superstation. We are the future of radio. 910 AM Superstation, the leader in facts.
There are a lot of folks who are interested in investing in Detroit, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Well, it's important that Detroit have investment because in order to have the kind of infrastructure that we need, there has to be investment.
Opinions.
The law was amended where marijuana shops can be opened up next to churches, schools, bars, liquor stores. What ramification do he think that will have in the city of Detroit?
That's an excellent question. I think it remains to be seen, but I personally think that nothing good is going to come out of it, Larry.
Voices.
Rick has been holding on for a long time. Hi, Rick.
I'm not for the marijuana law being legalized until every person who's in a Michigan jail who's being in there for having marijuana is released. Then you can legalize it.
News.
Alex is a videographer who often uses Periscope and YouTube to provide live video feeds of fires, and often will take a drone and will fly it above the fire scene so you can really see the fire from a vantage point that we never get to see.
910 AM Superstation. We are the future of radio. We have it all, from motivation to outrage, from advice to empowerment. We're the hottest station in town. Whatever you need, it's right here on 910 AM Superstation, the most powerful voices in the urban community.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, analytical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, analytical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley
Welcome
Show.
back to the Wayne Bradley Show, live on 910 AM, your superstation. Wake up, Detroit. Got another half hour here. We're having a good time talking all the issues, getting some calls in here. 313-209-9000. If that number is busy, give us a call at 313-778-7600. The lines are picking up this morning. We're going to go to Betty, who's waiting on the line here. Betty, thanks for calling in.
Yes, you and Walter should be ashamed. You must be monozygotic twins because you both sound very disturbed. You must have been in special education if you ever got your GED. Walter sounds just like he's...
Well, Betty, before you even go further, I am a proud MSU alumni, so I've got more than a special education degree.
Whatever they want to online because you...
I didn't buy it online. I've got the receipts for that. I am an MSU graduate. This weekend, another great victory by MSU, so thank you for reminding me of my educational background.
You sound very ignorant. You can't think.
Why do I sound ignorant, Betty? Why do I sound ignorant, Betty?
You go out there, and I would dare you to walk the streets of Mississippi because you'd be the first one they'd hang because you're so stupid.
Thank you, Betty, for calling in with that insightful opinion this morning. I appreciate that. All right, let's go to I guess we just got to finish off the last half hour with some of my more critical calls. We're going to go to Dr. Mack. Dr. Mack, welcome to the line.
Yes, Wayne, good morning.
Good morning,
Wayne,
sir.
Let me explain some things to you. Now, when you make those mantras like, well, the Democrats are for big government and Republicans are for small government, this is an infringement.
Limited government.
Limited government. Well, Mr. Grover Norquist, one of your cheerleaders, wants government small enough to drown in a bathtub. See, so I think that perhaps you might mean well, but you simply don't know anything, Wayne. Let me give you some pointing facts.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Dr. Mack.
Unlike some other folks. Okay, now, when you talk about limited government, I want you to understand something, and every black Republican that's listening, nothing exists in a vacuum. So in other words, when you say you want limited government, it's not like there's some big void there. Businesses and corporations come in. Mm-hmm. Anytime you talk about limited government, what they're really saying is
less regulation.
Corporations, people like you, less regulation.
Mm-hmm.
What
lower taxes.
Corporations are saying, we want to get the government out of the regulation business because it's interfering with our profit.
We want to get the government out of the way. Is the issue?
Yeah. Okay, Wayne. Let me show you that position is absolutely adverse to interests of every black person in the United States. Let me give you some point in fact examples. For example, okay, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. All right, Elizabeth Warren. Thanks to the formation of that bureau, over $12 billion have been levied against corporations because they're ripping off. Okay, the consumers. All right, now. The corporations don't like that because they don't want anybody interfering with their profit. Quit telling people corporations making profit is somehow beneficial to black people. It is not. When corporations make profit, that means the protections that are in place to protect the citizens.
Can't black people be shareholders and stockholders? Doesn't that benefit them if they're in that company, if they have a 401k, if you work for one of these organizations?
Wayne, no, it does not, because what you're saying is, for example, go to Southwest Detroit by the Marathon Refinery. Why don't you do a remote broadcast and there talk about, well, we don't need government involvement. The stink coming out of these smokestacks is just great for me. I'll bring my newborn baby down here. Everything is just fine because he's going to be a free citizen with limited restrictions, okay? So what I'm telling you is that saying that black people can benefit by a corporation or Marathon polluting people in Southwest Detroit.
Well, why are you only using black people? What about Southwest Detroit is full of Latinos and white people too? Why is this all about black people? Why are we trying to draw this racial divide on this?
Wait a minute, Wayne, because as a black person, when I see someone like you that tries to say, well, black people need to be in the Republican Party. The Republican Party, anyone that is saying that it's okay for that refinery in Southwest Detroit, get government out of the way. Let them pollute the air. So what? It doesn't mean anything. Black people can own some stock. That's as silly as saying black people could benefit by slavery by owning shares.
Have black people benefited from the war on poverty? Have we benefited, since the government, we trust the government so much?
Of course.
Have we benefited as a whole, families?
Wayne, black people have benefited from the war on poverty much more than black people could have benefited from no war or no poverty.
Is that so? Is that so? Because I look at it as, if you look at the numbers, more black people were married, more black people were having families before the war on poverty, before they told the black woman, hey, don't worry about this black man here. We'll make sure you got your check. We'll make sure we're paying your benefits. Come on, Dr. Mack. Are you really going to sit here and tell me that?
Wayne, if you would learn to do a little more listening, okay, and a lot less talking.
I've been listening to you.
And what I'm telling you is that is the same ridiculous mantra that they use in terms of slavery. A bunch of black people was married in slavery also. So what I'm telling you is that what the Republicans offered was absolutely nothing.
The Republicans are the ones that got us out of slavery, Dr. Mack. What are you talking about?
Wayne, no. What I'm talking about is what the Republicans offered. You're talking about the war on poverty. Look,
the war on poverty has done nothing but put more black people into poverty.
Wayne, I don't mind shooting you down, but let's have one target at a time. Let's talk about war on poverty.
All right, let's go ahead.
Okay, good. What I'm telling you is the war on poverty, the Great Society, was a great concept. Now, what I'm saying to you is this. I like Head Start, Wayne. I like Head Start.
A great concept.
I like being able. I like being able to have poor black kids being able to have women, infants, and children programs.
Does it help get them out of poverty, Dr. Mack? And that's the question I'm gonna keep asking. Does it help get people out of poverty? No, it doesn't. and it creates more poverty for black families.
Wayne, because what you do is this, for example, public housing. Someone like you will say, well, public housing is an abysmal failure, while your alternative to it was absolutely nothing. So what I'm telling you is that in terms of helping black people get out of poverty, the first thing you've got to do, is realize with a government involvement, that is accountability to the people. With a corporate involvement, the accountability is only to stockholders. And what I'm telling you is, you talk about, well, how come black people 401ks?
All right, I'm going to let you finish this up. I'm going to let you wrap this one up, Dr. Mack. I got about 4 people here that's ready to jump all over this because we got 15 minutes left. And like I said, we went from corporations to the war on poverty. And all I'm going to say in both situations, less government is better. Less regulations for government, for companies is better. And the war on poverty has been an absolute failure because poverty is still growing. Our families are being broken up. And you've got the government telling these mothers that, hey, you don't need the black man. We'll take care of you. And if you can dispute that, then go ahead.
Wayne, the war on poverty, you see, Republicans tickle me with this nonsense.
You're tickling me. You are tickling me with your nonsense on this one. There's no way you're going to sell me on the war on poverty is working for black people.
Well, you know what? Well, Wayne, because you apparently seem to be stuck in an ignorant
Apparently,
mode.
I like facts, Dr. Mack. Now, I'm going to my next caller here. We're going to talk again tomorrow. I appreciate you calling in. All right, we're going to the next caller here. Who's been waiting on the line here? We got to go to JJ. JJ, thanks for calling in.
How you doing, man? I know you were up early this morning with that new baby.
Yep, I'm up anyway. That's how I look at it, so I can deal with this stuff this morning. How you doing this morning, brother?
Good. Hey, a couple of points. In the 1920s and 30s, the government cost millions of dollars to run a year.
Okay.
By the 60s, it cost billions of dollars to run a year. Now, it costs trillions of dollars to run a year. The government employs 4 million people.
Mm-hmm.
That's more people than General Motors, Ford, Chrysler's, Facebook, Amazon, and add about 10 or 20 more top companies to employ 4 million people.
Right.
The federal government's become a big corporation. Next point, you were talking about, since Trump's been president, Iran, and nobody gives him props for this, after we gave them $150 billion, they were shooting off missiles. Remember, one came by our ship.
Mm-hmm.
Since Trump's been president, Iran ain't shot off one.
They don't want that action with Donald Trump. Nobody does.
Right, amen.
They know that. They know that our country is no doubt that our country is a little bit safer with Donald Trump at the helm than having President Obama, who was more of an apologist and an excuse maker for a lot of these guys, and calling ISIS the JV team, not taking terrorism as serious as we needed to. Jay, I'm going to let you wrap this up because I got a couple more calls here, but I appreciate you calling in here. Go ahead, man. Drop the knowledge.
Okay, real quick what Marcia said, what's talking about. We're supposed to edify one another, and I guarantee everybody that calls in is probably professed to be Christians. We're supposed to edify one another with our words.
Mm-hmm.
He who's without sin cast the first stone. It seems like everybody, I don't care if you're white or black, everybody throws stones at one another nowadays. That's all the politicians do is throw stones back and forth, left to the right to the left, and nothing gets accomplished.
I agree. We got to start working on focusing on solutions and doing the work of the people. So, hey, Jay, I appreciate you calling in, my friend. I really do.
All right, man. Be good.
All right. Thank you. All right. We're going to go to Joe. We're going to go to Joe here. Joe.
Man, I can't believe y'all people, man. Everybody talking about poverty. Government put black folks in poverty.
Thank
you.
you.
Nonsense with that racist bull.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it. And it's always white folks want to candy coat something. They are greedy people, man.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute.
Tell the truth about the people. Don't nobody want to tell the truth about white government. Look at the White House. Number of white folks. Look at Congress. Number of white folks. These people that perpetuate racism. Don't nobody want to talk about it. Look at Africa. There's no way a person's supposed to be walking around there bony. These white folks is greedy. And it's people like you that keep us in this position.
People like me, Joe? Oh, my goodness, man. I'm getting way too much credit this morning.
It's people like you and Walter. Y'all too busy drinking the white man two-ball compound and looking at them other white girls. So when you get one from out the dumpster, you think you got something.
Oh, man, Joe, you're on fire this morning, Joe. You're on fire. My goodness. Thank you, Joe.
Because I'm so sick of you and these white racist people always putting it on black people. We was placed in this position.
Oh, man, Joe. Why am I?
Can't even go across the country.
Joe, listen. You are mad. You are truly mad at the wrong person here, my friend. You are mad at the wrong person, my man.
I'm so sick of you people, man. I'm so sick of people like y'all. I'm so sick of people like y'all, man. Y'all the ones that keep this stuff going. That's why I don't want to even go downtown, because I'm sick of y'all white folks.
But I'm black, Joe. What are you talking about, Joe? I am black, man. Golly, man. Hey, man, it's too early in the morning for this, man.
You done suck the white man two-ball compound so much.
Ew, what is going on with you guys with these accusations here, man? Hey, Joe, listen, I got to wrap this up, man. I do appreciate you calling in and giving us your insight. You just hung up on me or whatever. All right, I'm going to get Tim. I got Tim in there, and we're going to finish up with my guy, because I know you already know who's coming back. Tim, thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Wayne. Thanks for taking my call. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
I did. I hope you did, too.
I did, sir. So the lady at the bottom of the hour talked about, we have to be more civil and, we can't talk our race down. And then the next 6 callers attack you. It's funny as heck. It kind of reminds me of Nazi Germany. If you don't think like we do, you are out of the race,
Hey, I just got accused of proliferating black poverty. I've been accused of doing some unscrupulous things with white folks. I mean, it's off the hook at 6 in the morning with these kind of allegations, Tim. Unreal.
Well, there's a good book out called Peculiar Institution by Kenneth Stamp.
Okay.
And he correlates the 24 urban cities in America run by Democrats, and he correlates how they're run just like the plantations were run back in the slave days. It's really enlightening.
What's the name of that book again? Tim?
It's called Peculiar Institution.
Peculiar Institutions by Ken Stamp.
By Kenneth Stamp.
All right, I'm going to look into that.
It is eye-opening book. But anyways, here's all I have to say. Here's the difference between Republicans and Democrats, right?
Go ahead.
David Duke. I don't think there is one Republican that supports or backs that man. But on the Democrat side, let's take, for example, Robert Byrd, who was one of the grand poobahs of the KKK. They hold him up on a pedestal.
Right.
Love the man, where on our side, we denounce it all the time. That's the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. The Democrats own this. They own slavery. They own Jim Crow. And I think the black people are coming around and realizing they're getting a bad raw deal from the Democrat Party.
I agree, Tim.
Donald Trump's going to do well in 2020.
Thank you so much, Tim. I agree with you, and I'm starting to see more black voters who want to call themselves independents. That's the first clue that I know that they are disenfranchised by what the Democrat Party is doing for them. So thanks again. Thanks again, Tim, for calling in. All right, man, I'm about to finish up the show. I'm glad my guy called back because we're going to ride out this show together here. After listening to all these liberals calling, talking junk, I got to bring my boy Walter back on the air. Walter, I'm going to let you finish because, they talking about you. They talking about me. Go ahead, Walter. Drop some bombs. I'm going to let Walter do this. Sniper him.
That's right. I'm back. Y'all, all you 6 black callers that called here, I love you in the name of Jesus. But, man, I have to rebuttal your lies.
There you go.
Let's do it. By the way, my man Tim and Jack, fellow conservatives, man. And by the way, thank God we finally got a talk show host down here to let my man Tim and my man Jack express themselves because Cliff Racist Russell, they try to filibuster, and Mr. Mongo from the Congo, they like to filibuster our calls because they don't want no naked truth.
No, they try to suppress the conservative message, don't they?
That's right. Remember they said Donald Trump was trying to suppress free speech with the news media. And by the way, I think Dr. Quack Mac, I hope he's listening again. Man, he's just wasting your time because he's unteachable, man. And also Dr. Quack Mac and my man Steve, they called earlier after rebuttal what they said. They've been listening too much to CNN, which I have given a nickname, Christless Negro Network. That's what we call it, Crooked Negro Network.
Oh, you killing me this morning, man. You killing me this morning, Walter.
You can tell what they've been listening to, man. God bless them, man. But my goodness, man, they're unteachable.
I mean, Dr. Mack, I was giving him a lot of credit until he was willing to defend this war on poverty and say that that's been good for black people. Like, to me, that is one of the hallmarks of the Democrat Party and what they believed in making government bigger to help us, black people, and cutting out the black man from the family. And now government runs our situation. Now you got 70% of kids being born out of wedlock. You have, fatherless homes where you have, again, the government told the mothers, you don't need this man. We'll give you some food stamps. We'll give you some. We'll hook you up. You don't need this man. And so now you have a lot of men growing up without fathers that have gone into this system. This created a cycle that we're already 2 to 3 generations deep of now in terms of the destruction that these liberal policies have done.
You remember Al Shriveled Up Sharpton? You know, every time Al Sharpton tell a lie or play the race card, he lose an extra pound. He just lies so much. And by the way, if you keep on losing any more weight, he's gonna blow away. He's gonna disappear. But anyway,
got more head than he got body.
That's right. Remember Al Shriveled Up Sharpton? You know, he was Obama support. He said, well, y'all overwhelmingly voted for socialism. That's Dr. Quack, Mac, and Steve, and the rest of the callers like to call you and slander you and me. And they don't know we mean them well. And they don't know Miss Betty. Thank God bless you, Miss Betty. But man, quit listening to Christless Negro Network, CNN.
See, I feel like the only person that's honest about their socialism and is proud of it is my girl Marcia. She doesn't care. She's like, hey, we'll go out like Venezuela as long as we're doing the right thing for the people. I respect that more than the folks that try to sell me on the fact that the war on poverty has done good for black people. I mean, if you want to throw the whole country into the toilet bowl and watch it swirl around, go with socialism. But Marcia's okay with that. She's fair. Like, hey, that could happen. I don't care as long as we're taking care of the people. Compared to Dr. Mack that just tried to sell me on the fact that, hey, at least we tried to do something for poverty. But, hey, whatever, that's better than doing nothing. Which you can make that argument, but we can see the results now with the war on poverty's done. Created more poverty. If you would think after 40, 50 years, and I know, Walter, you might disagree with me on the war on drugs, but the whole war on anything, whenever the government tries to do a war on any kind of social thing, they lose. We haven't won the war on drugs. We haven't won the war on poverty. I mean, you can just point it out, and it just does not work. If you trust government to handle the problems, they never get solved. That's how I'm going to ride out, Walter.
No, they sweep it under the rug. And Miss Marcia, I know what you're saying about Miss Marcia. The problem is she still living a pipe dream.
It's a big pipe dream. She knows that, but she has the principle to stick with that pipe dream as opposed to lying to me about it and saying she knows it's a pipe dream, and I love her for that. She's fair with that. That's Venezuela. She wants to go the route of Venezuela. That's fine. I don't want that. That would be just as destructive as anything else. But at least she's sticking with that. And she's not peeing on me and telling me it's raining. That's how I look at that.
Well, she's still hoping against hope that her slobber mouth Bernie going to become the president.
That ain't going to happen.
He's just as crooked and wicked as Obama and Hillary, and all the rest of them. And he wants
no one's as wicked as corrupt as Hillary. Not even Obama. I won't even put that. No one is more crooked than crooked Hillary. Let's just put it. We're gonna. Yes, she is. Hey, Walter, we got to finish up the show, man. I appreciate you calling in again because, again, you catch as many bullets as I do sometimes on my show, man. And I appreciate you calling in and help spread truth to these folks out here, my brother. All right.
Thank you, man, because the truth will stand. The truth will prevail.
Yes, indeed. All right, my brother. Thank you for calling in, man. We'll be back tomorrow on the air from 5 to 7 a.m. All right, Walter. I appreciate it, my friend. So, again, man, we've had a good show today. You're listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 9 Station. We are live every day from 5 to 7 a.m. And also on Sundays from 1 to 3. And if you want to hear the show on SoundCloud, go to SoundCloud, go to iTunes or Spreaker, and the show will be uploaded within the hour. So if you missed any of it, you can listen all day at your pleasure at conservativebro.com as well. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Wayne Bradley Show. Peace.
That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show.
If you want to hear the voices of Detroit, look no further than 910 AM Superstation.
How do all these black nationalist groups who got over $100,000 out of the mayor's campaign fund for their endorsement ever tell me they're for black people? Now, I don't have any fundamental premise that suggests that you can't support white activity and not be for black. But when you get out here and you're talking about you're the black slate and you're BCN and all this other stuff and pouring libation, but then you get paid $125,000 to support a mayor who arguably may not be supporting the best interests of black people in the city of Detroit. We know where he has put his effort, and it's basically on the areas that have been reclaimed by whites who left this town because blacks were here, didn't want to share space with us. So I have a fundamental problem with people who pour libations and wear kente cloth and then take Coleman Young's finger and stick it out to us and say, I'm getting paid.
910 AM Superstation.